Have you ever known an abuse victim? Are you sure? If you have, do you ever wonder why they stay? The truth is, they're not staying, they're stuck. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence tells us that every 9 seconds in the U.S., a woman is assaulted or beaten. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million victims. Yet only 34% of these receive medical care for their injuries. Although staggering, these statistics are only based on physical violence. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. Abuse and the cycle of violence is an extraordinarily broad subject. Therefore, today we will touch on only a few topics, including types of abuse, how the cycle evolves, and surviving the misconceptions of it all. Misconceptions, ignorance, and fear are the driving forces behind the continuation of this cycle. As I previously stated, abuse is commonly perceived as physical. When you bring to mind an abused woman, more than likely, you envision someone cowering in the corner, beaten and bruised. Or scenes from an afternoon Lifetime movie of a woman wearing sunglasses to hide a black eye. You probably don't think of the woman that smiled at you at the store today. She looked perfectly normal, right? On appearances, you would never know that her husband called her a whore that morning for choosing heels to go with her outfit rather than flats. Or that she slept on the bathroom floor last night because it's the only door with a lock. Or that she has to hurry home for fear that she's been gone too long and her husband will be mad and beat her down with words, mentally and emotionally. You would never know that behind that kind smile is the mind and heart of a woman that works tirelessly for approval she'll never get. Instead, she's told her home isn't clean enough, her children are not cared for well enough, the money she brings home is not enough. Over time, she becomes controlled through guilt, threats, fear, and even sleep deprivation, until she submits to the paralyzing idea that this is what she must live with, because no one else will ever want her. Why would they? She's never enough. The old adage is true. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. The cycle of violence is tricky and sneaks up on you. The cycle of violence is described by therapists in 3 parts: the buildup, the explosion, and the honeymoon. This 3-part cycle is so skillfully masterminded by the abuser that their prey have no idea of the trap they're slowly being lured into. Let me explain by beginning at the end. The honeymoon stage. All relationships begin in this stage with sunshine and rainbows, but then comes the build-up stage. He's irritated by something she does, he gets mad, then apologizes. Time goes on. He's irritated by something she doesn't do. He gets mad, he apologizes, time goes on. A series of small arguments ensue over time until the explosion stage. The explosion stage includes name-calling, insults, intimidation, a never-ending list of all her faults and all the ways that she's wrong. And yes, even physical violence, often followed by a period of isolation in which he doesn't speak to her. Then we re-enter the honeymoon stage. He's sorry, he didn't mean it, it will never happen again, and he loves her. This emotionally broken, physically tired, and mentally tormented woman wants nothing more than for this to be true, so she believes him. The cycle continues over and over, more and more frequently, until she does believe it. She finds herself making these same excuses for him, not only in her mind, but to friends and family as well. He's sorry, he didn't mean it, it'll never happen again, and he loves her. And thus the cycle of violence becomes routine. Without even knowing it's happening, it becomes normal to have little white lies at the ready, such as she hurt her wrist tripping over little Tommy's toys, or she can't go somewhere because little Susie is sick. This new normal continues for sometimes years, decades, or sadly a lifetime. The best case scenario is that the realization comes that the new normal is not normal. Believe it or not, living through all of this is the easy part. Coming out the other side and surviving it is the hard part. Telling others and asking for help is a doozy. You've been making excuses and telling lies for so long that you've become good at it, and people believe you. Add to this that Tom never let others see this side of him. Then you suddenly drop this bomb. All the truth spills out, and people are shocked. You feel ashamed. Some will jump to your aid, like your best friend or your parents. Others will actually find a way to blame the victim, or worse yet, make excuses for Tom. He's been under stress at work, or he's really a great guy deep down. It can't be that bad. Now there's no going back. You've told people. The truth is out. It's scary and embarrassing. Not only has this man spent all these years brainwashing you, he's also been brainwashing himself. He's convinced that you're crazy. He's convinced you're a liar. And he's convinced he owns you. Now he begins a new cycle. He begs you to come back. And when that doesn't work, he becomes angry and threatens you. He sends flowers to your job to convince others you're crazy. And he's really a great guy. He stalks you, calls you at all hours of the night, and pitches his version of the story to others behind your back, all in a desperate attempt to get you back. Strength, determination, and support are the keys to freedom. Some of us find these keys along the way, others sadly do not. But survival is the ultimate goal and worth it in the end. So just as I promised, we've covered some types of abuse, the cycle of violence, and surviving it. However, I also told you this subject is extraordinarily broad. There's so much more to it than what I've covered today. I would like you to remember this quote from healthyplace.com as you leave here today. A woman should never invest in a relationship she wouldn't want for her daughter, nor allow any man to treat her in a way she would scold her son for. Now, before you leave, take a look around the room and ask yourself, have you ever known an abuse victim? Are you sure? My name is Alicia. I was a victim and am now a survivor of abuse. You probably know more of us than you think.